Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We're back here on a Wednesday night. This is a special shiur. We're doing our Chanukah special series where Be'ezrat Hashem will complete it tonight. About the decrees of the evil Greek Empire that were enforced on the Jewish people. But unfortunately that wasn't the worst of it, as the worst of it is what we've been finding out during the last couple of lectures, is that we have actually instituted the Greek decrees on ourselves for the last 2,000 years, long after the Greek Empire ceased to exist, which really is the root of the problem and the point of everything. So tonight, Be'ezrat Hashem will complete the rest of the list to see what else we could learn from this historical event that really changed the history of our nation, and could very well change the history of our nation today if we were to do something about it and learn from our mistakes. Tonight's shiur is for Refuah Shlema for Rabbanit Levana Bat Sarah, Sarah Bat Levana, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah bat Anat, Avi Mori David ben Nesriya, Doris bat Jora, Orit bat Ilana, Sarah bat Sausan, and also for Atzlacha Rabba for Amir ben Shahin, Shaul ben Farzane, Marsha bat Julie, Ayla bat Marsha, Samuel ben Marsha, Cephas ben Marsha, Alexander ben Marsha, Louis ben Marsha, Yitro ben Avraham, David ben Nesriya, Oshri ben Doris, Gabi ben Doris, Elad ben Doris, and all of Am Yisrael and all of the righteous Noahides that are continuing to get closer and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and not letting anything get in their way. As a side note, thank you very much for those people that have taken the initiative and already started donating to the food campaign we had in Eretz Yisrael. Some people were very moved by some of the videos, Baruch Hashem, where you see that there's actually money are going to the right places. For anyone that hasn't seen the video or hasn't contributed and wants to, go to bhchesed.org. B as in Be'ezrat, H as in Hashem, C as in Charlie, H, E, S as in Sam, E as in Eric, D as in David.org, bhchesed.org, and you could donate over there for the food campaign. Be'ezrat Hashem, this is helping Baruch Hashem quite a few people, and if you looked at some of the write-ups that we had on that site, we uncovered a little bit more of some of the other projects that we've been working on. Different people that we've been helping, the 4-year-old boy that just seeing him breaks your heart, how much suffering he's going through, or the abused woman that we had to help from her evil husband, or health issues, all types of life crises. Baruch Hashem, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us, we try to do our best to help. We have our focus to help people in Eretz Yisrael, because there's simply less resources there than there is for people that are living in America. Plus, we try to help people that are in the religious community, that are people that we can verify, and not just people that just send us a mail and tell us they need help. And I understand that some people take this offensively, but you have to understand that when you are responsible for people's lives, and it's not your money, it's Ekdesh money. Ekdesh money meaning it's like money that was donated to the Bet HaMikdash, money that was donated for a holy cause. You have a very, very serious responsibility, and you can't just throw it around and give it to whoever asks. You have to verify. You have to verify who you're giving it to and why you're giving it to them. And not just send things out there and try to help the whole world and bankrupt yourself in the process, both spiritually and materially. So one of the main things that is important for us to know is that these people can be verified. And one of the ways that we verify is that we get, to talk to, not only to them, but sometimes we talk to their rabbis, Rosh Kolel, different avrechim that they know, to see that this person is not just making up a story because he wants some money. So it's a lot of work. It's a very, very big responsibility, but that's Baruch Hashem why I believe we've had a lot of success in helping people and trying to get them to a better place. So for all of those that have contributed, thank you very much. For all of those that will contribute, thank you very much. For all of those that haven't contributed and won't plan on contributing, please keep watching. And we'll learn Torah together and B'ezrat Hashem get to a better place. With that being said, let's continue. We have, Baruch Hashem, a lot of material. I really would like to get some questions from you guys tonight, but I don't know how much time we'll have. As we've seen, the first 14 decrees have really taken up a lot of time. And as our way in Kedusha, we always like to review things. We like to review things in order, when we start, in order to really get things engraved in our minds. And also sometimes when you do review, you end up getting another idea that you didn't get originally. And it's also the way of Hashem. It's also the way of Hashem that we actually learned from this week's parashat Miketz, that Paro had the same dream twice, just in different formats, and Yosef told Paro when he asked him to interpret the dream for him that this is the same dream. This is the same dream twice, and he's told him this twice. Why? To show us that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to show you urgency, he'll give you the message perhaps more than once. So, Baruch Hashem, we try to do whatever we can to not repeat the same things, in identical fashion. Always try to bring a new idea, but it is important to go over some of these things at times more than once. So anyway, so far we have seen the first 14 decrees that the Greeks, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, instituted in order to destroy our spiritual connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is indeed what the Zionist government in modern day Israel is trying to do on a day-to-day basis. All of the horrible stories coming on a newswire on a regular basis now, it's really just make your heart shiver anytime there's something new coming out, whether it's finding out that one of the people in the army and government were sending young Jewish girls to the jail cells of Arab terrorist prisoners, and in essence forcing them to commit relations and impurify themselves with these Arabs. This is 100% identical to what the Greeks wanted to do with one of the decrees. Of course, the Nochel, the criminal at top, the prime minister that promised the entire religious community before he got the votes that he won't sign a agreement with the Yair Lapid, Yimach Shemo, the lefty liberal. And of course, that was a complete lie. He's a liar, and that wasn't the first time he ever lied. But nonetheless, this time he literally fooled everyone. Told them that he's not going to sign, and literally 5 seconds after becoming prime minister, there was already agreements between him and the lefty liberals being drawn up. So you see that there's obviously a lot of criminal behavior behind the scenes over there and in the front scenes, and no one seems to care. The main agenda that the Israeli government has right now is to weaken the Rabbanut to the point of non-existence, and really that's one of the things they're trying to do, is force the chief rabbi, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, to no longer be allowed to be involved in anything that matters. And in fact, they want a secular Jew like Yair Lapid to run the bed dins, the rabbanut, in selecting who's going to be the future dayanim, which means that if he decides to bring one of his messianic Christian friends, or one of his reformed friends, or one of his secular go to the beach on Shabbat friends to be the head dayan of Jewish law in Israel, then that's what will be. And of course, this would be a complete destruction to the entire country, needless to say, to Judaism in that country. But that's what they're trying to do on a day-to-day basis, and they're fighting tooth and nail. So we see that many of the decrees that were spiritual in nature, that happened to us a little over 2,180 years ago, are actually happening today. And it's we can't just complain about these decrees and as if there is nothing wrong with our behavior, because of course we understand that there is always there's always a tree. If there's an apple, there has to be a tree somewhere. If there is there's a cause and there's an effect. If there's a suffering, there has to be a sin that preceded it. There's no suffering without sin, as we learned from the Gemara Masechet Chulin, where it talks about how a person does not even get pricked on their finger without there being a judgment in heaven to permit such a thing. And that's actually also one of the things that we learn from the Shvatim in this week's parasha, where the Shvatim, after they meet Yosef and don't know who he is, on their way back from their very troubling and difficult meeting with the viceroy, who they don't know is their brother, they find out that the money is in their bags, as well as all of the food is in their bags, and they make a famous statement. To each other, which says, "Mazot asal Elohim lanu," meaning that what is it that God has done to us? Like God gave us this punishment because right now we look like we're thieves, we look like we're criminals, and why did God do this to us? So the Gemara in Masechet Sotah says, "Ivelet Adam tesalef darko, ve'al Adonai yiz'af libo." That the stupidity of man causes him to sin and go against the will of Hashem, and then he cries to Hashem, asking him, "Why'd you do this to me?" That's the connection they made. Not that the Chas v'Shalom calling the Shvatim, the 12 tribes, stupid, but in essence, this particular comment that they're making, they're actually being rebuked by the Torah. They're being rebuked by Hashem. How could you possibly ask, "What has God done to me?" Why didn't you do the same thing that you did the first time, when several verses earlier, before that, when you there was the whole showdown initially, and you had to leave Shimon over there, you immediately said, "Oh, it's because of Yosef. It's because of what happened to Yosef. Al ken ba elenu hatzara azoti. It's because of that this anguish has come upon us." You immediately were looking, you saw something wrong is happening. Obviously we did something wrong. And one thing that we did wrong is perhaps we didn't treat Yosef the right way. So over there you made the connection between the suffering and the sin. Why didn't you do it again this time? Is that the only sin you've ever made in your life? Or perhaps do you think that sin, that's it, the payment was enough. You suffered a little bit already a few hours ago, and that's enough. And that's unfortunately many times the mentality of people, where they feel like God owes them something, and if they suffered a little bit in their life, they deserve heaven on earth. They deserve heaven on earth. They deserve a life that is always pleasing, always pleasurable, no troubles. And the second they have anything that shakes up their life, immediately they question the entire premise of whether they should continue to be religious or not. And these, unfortunately, are very weak-minded people that are not serving Hashem the right way in the first place, even when times are good. And that's actually one of the things that happened to us at the time of Greece, where the ones that were weak, the ones that were not serving Hashem day in, day out, with their full heart and understanding that that is your purpose in this life. Your purpose in life is not to build buildings. Your purpose in life is not to make a lot of money. Your purpose in life is not even to get married and have children. Your purpose in life is to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu in whatever possible way you can. Meaning, every single thing that you encounter in your life, you have to connect that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when a person starts viewing the world from that perspective, where they look at every opportunity to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're guaranteed to win. They're guaranteed to win. And it seems ridiculous. It seems perhaps even a long stretch. But I'm going to tell you, because B'siyad Lishmai, I have something that it's in my mind right now that I didn't think about beforehand. And there's a Masoret that we learned from Rav Ephraim, who learned from Rav Shvadron, that anytime you are speaking and an idea suddenly appears into your head, even if it has absolutely nothing with what you're going to speak about, say that idea, say that story. Why? That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to say. Now, I've never told this story to a live crowd. I've only told this story to two people, my wife and Rabbi Ephraim. And in fact, even the people involved in the story don't even know the whole story. And I'll tell you the story. I'm not going to mention names, but I'm sure if they're listening, which I believe they are, they'll know it's them. And you'll see how, sometimes it's good to be a little naive, a little bit simple-minded, a little bit foolish, a little bit whatever you want to call it, because you get what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give you without too many questions. So when I first started doing Kiruv, I'd say within the first, 2-3 years, it's been, I think, 7 years that we've been speaking, and about 8 or 9 years that we've actually been doing Kiruv. Probably 9 years doing Kiruv. So, Baruch Hashem, we've been doing Kiruv for a while. And one of the things that I really took to heart is the fact that I knew that everything connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I took it to the level that I understood, which is literal. Everything connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning that any contact that I have, or anybody that approaches me, anybody that I encounter in life in any way, shape, or form, must be something that Hashem wants me to deal with for whatever reason or another. There has to be a purpose for it. Now, of course, everybody says, yeah, of course. Well, let's see if you take it this far. Now, of course, when I did tshuva, one of the things that you have to do when you do tshuva, aside from learning Torah, is you have to really distance yourself from, your past, from different things that are really not relevant to this new life of yours. And although I've already been distanced to my old life for some time, still, there's never enough distance. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu sometimes sends you messages that seem unusual. And one day I get a message from a old friend of mine that I haven't spoken to in probably around 20 years. He was a guy that I used to play football with when I was in high school. And I haven't spoken to this guy, haven't heard of this guy, nothing, in over 20 years. A long time has passed. And this guy suddenly sends me a message on Facebook saying, I saw your profile, I saw some videos that you're making, and it's really amazing. Even though we have a different religion, I appreciate what you're saying. I agree with everything that you're saying. And he's a Catholic guy, really nice guy named Joe. And Joe, Joe contacted me, and we were good friends when we were in high school. But when I first got this message, I don't know, I was a little bit dumbfounded. I was also very busy, as I always am. I try to keep myself busy. And I didn't respond right away. And by the time I got to responding to it, I think a little bit of time passed. I don't know whether it was a few days or a few weeks. But by the time I got to respond, I saw that Joe removed his account from Facebook. It's like you try to respond to somebody and you don't have the ability to press enter because the person has eliminated their account. So I thought to myself, like, I don't have this guy's phone number. I don't have any access to him. I haven't heard from this guy in over 20 years. Why is Hashem sending me this? And it bothered me that this happened. So I started asking myself, how am I going to get in contact with this guy? Because Hashem obviously sent this to me. As you would have it, I got in touch with him in a different way from a different social network. I think it was LinkedIn or something like that. I found his name and I sent him a message. Now, why is a person that's learning Torah, teaching Torah, trying to live a life of Torah, going to contact some Italian Catholic guy that he's played football with? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows, but I'm going with the flow. Hashem sent it to me, I'm going. I don't know, maybe he wants to convert, maybe I can help him in some way. I don't know, maybe it's just Yetzirah sending me something just to waste my time. Who knows? But Hashem sent it to me, I'm going. And that's how, that was and still is my belief. And anyway, so I contact him, and he's surprised that I contacted him, and we exchange a few messages, and then he tells me, he's like, listen, do you still talk to, anybody from high school? I said, no, I haven't spoken to anybody. I have one old friend that I'm in touch with once in a while, maybe once, twice a year or something. And even that's a lot sometimes. But other than that, nobody else. No. He's like, I still talk to a lot of the people. And I actually ran into one of the girls, if you remember her. I ran into her recently. And you said, do you remember her? I'm like, yeah, I vaguely remember her. I was in same class as her in 5th grade. So yeah, I know who she is, but it's not like we were ever best friends or anything, but I remember who she was. Yeah, sure. He's like, well, yes, you know what? She's Jewish, and she was asking me some things. We had a conversation about God, and she said, you know what? I don't know. I have a lot of questions about, where I come from and what's the point in life. And I just thought about you. And I said, you know what? You remember Yaron Reuven that was this? She said, yeah. She goes, he's a rabbi? He's like, what? Yaron? I thought he's a Wall Street guy. That's what I heard. And then they talked about it, and he told her, listen, why don't you watch his video? And he said, I wanted to let you know that I sent her your videos, and she told me she likes it. Do you mind if I give her your phone number in case she has any questions? I said, yeah, of course, no problem. So he gives her the phone number, and we communicate a couple of times. When I came to New York to do some lectures, she attended one of the lectures, and we spoke a little bit. She had a friend with her also. Long story short, this girl, before I met her, she was, completely secular like the rest of us were at the time, before we understood what's the purpose in life. And now she was asking questions, and Baruch Hashem, she was getting the answers. And you would think, okay, this is very nice, great. Well, the great part didn't even start. Why? Because the great part is that today she is not only a person that did complete tshuva, but also, Baruch Hashem, someone that we had the merit to connect her to another student of mine that did tshuva, and they got married, and Baruch Hashem, they're expecting a child. And in that itself, that other story is a story of itself, of how they met and how we introduced them and how the whole thing happened. But the point I'm trying to tell you here is that nothing happens for no reason. If a person simply paid attention, he can see God with his own eyes everywhere. When people ask me, do you believe God is good? Do you believe God 100%? Do you believe this? Do you believe that? I find that to be the most ludicrous question in the world, but I deal with these questions on a regular basis, and I try to answer people in the best way that I can. Why? Because I feel bad for them. Because while they're asking where God is, I can't help myself but see Him everywhere. So that's unfortunately one of the things. When you're not looking for God, that even if He's in front of you, which He is at all times, you can't see Him because you're looking beyond Him. You're looking elsewhere. You're looking for some type of image. You're looking for some cartoon character or some multimillionaire or some Jesus type of character. You're looking in the wrong direction. You want to see God? Look everywhere and you'll see Him. And Baruch Hashem, when you think about it, why would some Catholic guy that I went to school with, yes, we were friendly, but we haven't spoken to each other in over 20 years, contact me? And the interesting part about it is that we never talked after that conversation again. Like, we communicated that one time and we never spoke again. Like, I don't know what his phone number is. I don't know if he knows what mine is. All I know is we spoke one time. That was it. Several years have passed. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years, 6 years have passed since then. I haven't heard about him. I'd love to hear. I'd love to hear about whether he even knows that all of this happened. But the beautiful thing is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu used this person as a connection. As a connection to help one of his daughters see the truth because she was looking. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a promise in the Sefer Devarim, in Deuteronomy chapter 4. If you look for me, you will find me. But only if you look for me with all of your heart and all of your soul. And it's clear to me today that she was looking for HaKadosh Baruch Hu with all of our heart and all of our soul. Because not only did she find God, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu also found her a husband, and B'ezrat Hashem a child, and a lot of wonderful things. And this person left, like, it's not much of a different from my story of Wall Street, abandoning Wall Street and adopting Torah. It's perhaps not to the same extreme in certain aspects, but it's the same extreme in other aspects. And it's one of the most wonderful stories that I was able to witness with my own eyes. And there are countless stories like this that we've had the privilege of seeing. But this one particular story had such a personal touch by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, such a fingerprint by HaKadosh Baruch Hu on this thing. It's like, I mean, it's almost a joke to doubt you, Hashem. It's almost like embarrassing. It is embarrassing to ever doubt Hashem when you really see His fingerprints everywhere. And that's one of the things. It's one of the things that I believe is the problem for a lot of people, is that they're not looking for Hashem, and even when they see Hashem, unfortunately, they have this superficial dating type of relationship. They don't take Hashem 100% seriously. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't see miracles. And even when they see them, they have a way to rationalize them. They have a way to explain them. They have a way to do all types of things except admit to the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one and only that's running this world. And it's those people that you really want to help the most, but at the same token, it's those people that are sometimes the most difficult to help, because they have to choose one way or the other. Even after you show them all the proofs in the world, they have to choose whether they want to accept Hashem 100% or continue playing this dating game. And that's what happened to us 2,000 years ago. When the Greeks showed up with all of their money, with all of their glamour, with their fancy horses, with their fancy army, with all of the things that they had, guess what? A bunch of our people, us in our previous carnation, went with them and became Greeks. Jews that became Greeks. And that's one of the things that you'll always notice about the Jewish people, is that no matter what nation is running the world or is the most powerful in the world, they always are bothered by the existence of the Jewish people. It's every powerful nation that ever existed was always bothered by this little nation called Israel. Simply bothered by them, has to do something about it, to enslave them, to torture them, to kill them, to do whatever it is. And of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu that runs the world just simply ends up destroying the strong nation and letting the weak win. But nonetheless, it's bizarre that while they actually want us to become like them, they hate us even after we become like them. Because you could even see during the Holocaust that quite a few examples of Jews that joined the Nazi army. Jews that joined the Nazi army, there was, according to one documentary that I saw, there was approximately 150,000 Jewish soldiers in Hitler's army, including at least one guy that called himself an Orthodox Jew. And there was, unfortunately, countless Jews that joined the church, like that woman, the wicked woman that we spoke about yesterday, Edith Stein and her sister Rosa, who joined the Catholic Church, only to be singled out as a Jewish Catholic woman and got murdered in cold blood in Auschwitz like the rest of the Jewish people. But nonetheless, one of the things that you'll notice is that when the Pope supposedly gave her a honor for her martyrism, he still called her a Jew. Like, she will never be considered a non-Jew, not in this world and not in the next. And that's not something that is a new thing. It's actually in this week's parasha. Like everything in the world is in this week's parasha, or every parasha. It's always in the parasha. And it's one of the most amazing things in the world, is that everything that we always talk about is always in the parasha without any planning. It's just HaKadosh Baruch Hu, makes us look smart. But you see it in this week's parasha. You have this tzaddik named Yosef that's been in jail for 12 years. And he's the one that can interpret dreams. And Paro has these dreams. Nobody can help him. He's looking for a shortcut initially. So he's asking his necromancers, come to the necromancers. The necromancers can't help him, so he calls the wise men. And that's what it says in the Pasuk, Vayikra et kol chartumei Mitzrayim, ve'et kol chachamea. So he calls all the wise people. Why do you call the necromancers first and then the wise men? You should call the wise men. The wise men are people that are known to have solutions. The necromancers are magicians. What is a magician going to do for you? This is the way of Paro, and this is the way of everybody that's spiritually lazy. They're looking for somebody to give them a quick solution, a quick answer. They don't want to go through the rut. They don't want to go through the toil. They don't want to go through the labor of actually working for a solution. It's unfortunately, spiritual laziness is the worst form of laziness known to man, because it literally destroys worlds. But unfortunately, this is very common in the world today, and they learned it from Paro. Paro himself was looking for a quick solution, but he couldn't find it from the necromancers. He couldn't find it even from the wise men, so he calls one of his people, and the bartender, Sarah Mashkim. Sarah Mashkim says to him, the bartender, says, you know what, actually I met a guy in prison, and he interpreted my dream. It shows you also that HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't think like us. He's not going to give you a solution the way you think he's going to give you a solution to your problems. You're thinking you're going to get a solution by going to some grave. You're thinking you're going to get a solution by, doing all types of odd things. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, no, sometimes I'll send you a solution to a bartender. Sometimes I'll send you a solution to your best friend. Sometimes I'll send you a solution to something that's a post-it that's on your desk for 5 years and you just simply only noticed it today. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will send us solutions in all types of ways. And the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed Paro that he's absolutely a nothing is that all of his necromancers that were the best witchcraft wizards in the world couldn't answer his questions about his dreams. All of the wise men that he had, which were some of the smartest people in the world, intellects, couldn't interpret his dream. Who could actually help him a little bit? His bartender. His bartender can help. Why? Because the bartender knows a Jew. And that's what it says. And that's what he says. Vesam itanu nar ivri. That in that prison we had a Hebrew, a Jew. Wait a minute, I don't understand. You're in prison for 12 years. All types of criminals are there. All you can remember is the guy's a Jew? That's what you can remember? Yes, that's what I can remember. He's a Jew. Why? It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. It doesn't matter if you are religious or not. It doesn't make a difference. Once HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides you're a Jew, whether you like it or not, you're going to live to be a Jew, you're going to die a Jew, and you're going to be judged as a Jew. And the world will always recognize you as a Jew, even if you adopted their beliefs. And unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, a lot of people are self-hating Jews. We had many of them in the Holocaust that joined the Nazi forces, and we also had even more join the Greek forces. And actually, the whole holiday of Chanukah is celebrating our win against those heretical Jews, much more than against the Greeks. because it was those heretical Jews that turned this relationship we had with the Greek Empire into an absolute spiritual nightmare. And that's what we had, the decrees where the Greeks came and said, no more Shabbat. Why? Because the Jews that were on their team, the heretical Jews that were on their team, saying, listen, Shabbat is Judaism. Without Shabbat, there is no Judaism. So the first thing they want to do is destroy Judaism and make them into Greeks. How? Get them to stop keeping Shabbat. Once they stop keeping Shabbat, that's it. Their own Torah will call them Gentiles. Meaning the guy, he could tell you what he wants, but the reality is he doesn't keep Shabbat according to the Torah itself, and it's Paskin L'Halacha in the Shulchan Aruch, in the Rambam, and according to all poskim, a Jew that does not observe Shabbat on purpose, simply he's violating Shabbat on a regular basis, is considered 100% an idol worshiper. You look at the Rambam, Ilchot Shabbat, chapter 30, last halacha. That's where it says it, and many other places. It says it maybe 6 or 7 times in the Rambam, and about the same amount in the Shulchan Aruch. And even poskim like Rav Tzion Abba Shaul says that when a person is a mechalel Shabbat, you cannot even say Amen, Amen to their blessings. The guy says Kaddish, you're forbidden from saying Amen. That's how bad the status is of a Jew that does not observe Shabbat. And unfortunately today there are many Jews that choose not to observe Shabbat. No one is telling them not to observe Shabbat. They choose not to. Why? Ignorance, for the most part, is the main reason of why people do what they do. Sometimes it's outright evil, but it's rare. Most of the time it's outright ignorance. And ignorance of the obligation, and ignorance of the judgment that will come if you forsake that obligation. Even religious Jews do not know the consequences that will happen to their friends, family, and all types of peers that they have that are violating Shabbat. Many times you have people that are religious, have friends and cousins and nephews and brothers and whoever that are desecrating Shabbat. And they know that it's not a good thing for a Jew to desecrate Shabbat, but the second they hear one of our shurim, or one of Rav Mizrahi's shurim that says that a Jew that's a mechalel Shabbat is considered an idol worshiper, their Judaism is on suspension, you cannot use them as a witness for any Jewish ceremony. Not a wedding, not a court, nothing. You cannot even drink wine that they pour for you, and you cannot even eat their food. In fact, if they die that way, they go to the worst place in Gehenna and never come out. When a religious Jew hears this, and they realize that's their cousin you're talking about, that's their brother, that's their former classmate, current classmate, they're always in shock. Why? Most people are simply ignorant of the consequences of forsaking our Torah. And that's one of the things that the Greeks strategize with heretical Jews to try to make all of Am Yisrael into Mechalei Shabbat. They also forsake us from observing the Rosh Chodesh, because that is the foundation of every one of our holidays. We need to know when the month begins, when the month ends. We need to know exact, precise timings. It means life or death for us. If you fast on a non-fast day, or if you don't fast on a fast day, is literally the determining factor of whether you're going to be in heaven or hell. So it's very important for us to know exact timings, more so than any other nation could ever imagine. People think that the atomic clock is a recent invention. The atomic clock is the Torah. We need to know exact timings for everything, to the second at times. And the Greeks tried to destroy that by destroying Rosh Chodesh. They also forsake us from having a Brit Milah. Why? Because the Brit Milah is the oldest covenant that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that began with our forefather Avraham Avinu. If you forsake the roots, you make people forget where they came from, then they simply have no future. And that's unfortunately one of the things that I see today with young men and women that are promiscuous either with themselves or with other people or both, is simply in the first conversations we have, via messages and so on, it's very, very hard to break through that klipa, that spiritual shell they have on themselves, and explain to them their obligation to God and their obligation to their forefathers of Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Why? They're like, what do you mean? They died 4,000 years ago. Like, how do I affect them? Why do I care about my relationship with Avraham? How does that help me? They have no idea that their promiscuity is literally breaking a chain. It's breaking a chain that's 4,000 years old. It's breaking it, it's destroying it, and pretty much you're ending Judaism. You're ending Judaism with your Chilul Shabbat. You're ending Judaism with your desecration of your brit. You're ending Judaism with your promiscuity. And people simply do not understand, how do you even say such a thing? What do you mean? How does my behavior affect Judaism? I'm just a person. And that's unfortunately a common answer, because people do not know what brit actually means, what a covenant means, what holiness of in regards to intimacy means. They don't know what modesty is, and that's why it requires a lot of work, a lot of shiurim. Next, the Greeks, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, wanted to enter our minds, including our children's minds, by engraving a horrible statement that we have no connection to God on every horn. Whether that horn was used as a bottle of milk for a child, or that horn was simply one of the farm animals that a farmer was forced to look at all times, to constantly remind him that he has no share of the God of Israel. He's simply not connected to him anymore. And they figured that if a person sees that on a regular basis, eventually it's going to affect him. Simply the same thing as if a person is going to watch movies on Netflix, he's going to watch, or she's going to watch films on a television screen. Slowly but surely, that person is going to become spiritually dead. Spiritually dead. You're going to tell them the most extraordinary musar, the most extraordinary insights of Torah, the most extraordinary words of Torah that the world has ever seen, and all that he can do is look at you with four eyes and say, no idea what you're talking about. Why are you telling me this? The heart has such a klipa, such a shell on it, it requires a bulldozer to break through it. Why? You've watched so many Netflix movies, so much pornography, so much promiscuity. You've become numb to the fact that you are numb to Torah. And unfortunately, Rabotai, when a person allows these bad things to constantly enter their mind through the two windows in your head called eyes, but are really the windows to your soul, when you allow all types of spiritual filth to enter your mind, watching movies, even listening to all types of non-kosher music, all types of news, reading the newspapers, God forbid, or reading the news on the internet is even worse. All the Lashon Hara, whether it's coming from a religious newspaper or a secular one, there's really very, very little difference these days. The reality is, Rabotai, is that you allow these things to enter your mind, you're simply committing spiritual suicide. Spiritual suicide. So when the rabbi finally tells you something from a Torah, like you have to keep Tarat Mishpacha, you have to keep certain customs, you have to do this, you have to do that, like, why? Why do I have to do these things? What if I don't want to? And it's almost speaking to a wall. It's almost speaking to a wall. Now, the reason why I say it's almost speaking to a wall is because usually the wall answers a better response. And that's what happens with people that watch television. That's what happens with people that play video games on a regular basis, and people that are just simply allowing all types of spiritual filth to enter their mind. You are committing spiritual suicide. There's no question about it. That's exactly what the Greeks wanted us to do by a single statement. So imagine, if the Greeks, which were smart people, they weren't stupid people, they were very, very, very smart people. Now, if these Greeks believed that a simple sentence that you have no share of the God of Israel appearing on the horn that you look at, let's say 3 times a day, they believed that that will eventually culminate with a complete atheist result. The person is going to become an atheist like them, or an idol worshiper like them, or whatever the version of them there was. That Jew that was used to go and learn Torah, used to learn Daf Yomi, used to even give a shiur, that guy is going to be a heretic. He's going to turn into a Meza. He's going to turn into one of these people that's literally an anti-Torah personality. Simple one-sentence statement. So if a simple sentence can cause that much damage after you look at it for only 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, imagine how much spiritual damage happens to you when you are watching non-kosher videos, when you're watching non-kosher speakers, even if they call themselves rabbis, when you're watching all types of filthy movies, all types of pornography, all types of soft pornography, all types of filthy, disgusting shows on television, all types of news and garbage that is full of Lashon Hara. They literally have sections in media called gossip. It's like there's a section in the Shulchan Aruch that says, you do this, you're going to go to hell forever. One of the ways is go speak gossip. The Rambam, Paskins, a person that says Lashon Hara it's doubtful if they're going to go to heaven, because they're certainly going to Gehenom. But that's only referring to somebody that says occasional Lashon Hara, because certainly someone that says Lashon Hara on a regular basis has no share of the world to come. That's what the Rambam says. But yet people watch media in the religious community, non-religious community, that's actually called gossip. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. But people love this stuff. And it's like, listen, I want to commit spiritual suicide. What's the fastest way I can do it? And that's how people do it. And they watch the movies, and they watch the shows, and they read the papers, and they read the blogs, and all types of garbage enters their mind. And then they're surprised. They're surprised that they really don't want to watch a shiur Torah today. They really don't want to keep Shabbos. They really don't understand why we have to keep 2 Yom Tovs in the exile. Quite frankly, why does the fish have to be kosher if it's already in a can and the can says tuna? Like, why can't I just believe the manufacturer? Why do I have to buy my food from certain places? Why do I have to deal with certain people? Why do I have to do this and why do I have to do that? All they have is questions but never any answers. Why? Because their source of information is Netflix and YouTube and all types of Facebook feeds and all types of programs on television and cable TV. That's their source. Hollywood is their source. And unfortunately, Rabotai, a person that commits spiritual suicide is going to be prosecuted in heaven for every single charge. Why? You have no right to kill yourself, not physically and not spiritually. And a person that's doing it to himself is literally making the Greeks proud that they did a good job. Their system worked so well, you've implemented this for hours per day. Instead of just looking at some horn 2 or 3 times a day for a few seconds, you're watching these videos for hours and hours per day. People watch these videos for 4, 6, 7 hours per day. I remember reading a study one time years ago where they said that the average American watches television for over 6 hours per day. And this does not include internet. HaShem only knows if you include internet, you simply have no other time left in the world. That's also part of the reason why productivity in America is one of the worst in the world. But nonetheless, this is spiritual suicide that people do to themselves, and it's the Greek mentality. It's the Greek seed was implanted, and we're simply eating the fruits today, unfortunately. These poisonous fruits. Furthermore, they wanted to violate the holiness in every Jewish household by forcing the beautiful, holy, young Jewish girls to commit intimacy with their filthy, disgusting, uncircumcised members of their nation. And this is one of the ways that they caused a lot of damage, but at the same token, this is one of the ways that the Jewish people simply had enough. As I told you the other day, one of the Chashmonaim, one of the sisters, rebuked the brothers for not doing anything about it, and shocked them with the behavior that they never saw before, but was really the only cure to the cancer that they were in at that time. Now, after that, we also have the women not being allowed to go to the mikveh, no ketubah, no korban tamid. They also had no candle in the Bet HaMikdash. So a lot of different things that connect to the Bet HaMikdash, connect to marriage, connect to holiness, morality. Also, prohibition against celebrating Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret, forbidding learning Torah, and eating pig, and not shutting our doors, and in some cases not even having doors to our houses, because even Bilam, Yimach Shemo v'zicho, the strongest prophet among the Gentiles in history, knew that the strength of the Jewish nation was their modesty, their holiness, their privacy. And that's actually what he is quoted in Parashat Balak as admiring the Jewish people for their privacy and their holiness. But knowing that if you can break that modesty, that privacy, if you can break into the Jewish household and corrupt it with all types of filthy, disgusting immorality, sexuality, pornography, and so on, simply the entire Jewish nation is self-destroys. And that's almost what happened until Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen took a extreme act of bravery to save the entire people. So up to this is what we've reviewed so far. Now we have the Greeks taking things to the next level, and of course, all due to the advice of the heretical Jews that helped them. The next decree was outright avodah zarah, outright serving idols. Why did the Greeks want us to serve their idol? We thought that they didn't care about the Torah. We thought we didn't care about Torah. They didn't care about God. They just wanted us to be like Greeks. So here's what the Greeks' mentality was. Yes, we don't mind if you serve God as long as you also serve our God. Meaning, serve many gods, just like us. You want to have 2, 3, 4, 17, no problem, as long as not just one. One God, unacceptable for us. And that was the Greek mentality. And unfortunately, that is the Christian mentality in the world today, where the most dangerous form of idolatry in the world today, specifically for the Jewish people, dangerous for the Jewish people, and really the world, is the evangelical Christian belief. And the reason why is because they come to you with a smile, with a very, very big checkbook and a bank account to back it up, calling themselves Christian Zionists, telling you that they are your best friends, but in reality, they are the most religious sect within Christianity that follow their New Testament to the T, which according to them, obligates them. If they're religious Christians, it obligates them to missionize after the Jews specifically. That's what's in their New Testament. And that's why every time I speak to rabbis and all types of tzaddikim about Christianity, and they're dumbfounded when they're hearing all these stories about different Christians being exposed and different rabbis being exposed for working with Christians and so on, they say, yeah, but I know some Christians and they don't try to missionize. I tell you, listen, there's different types of Christians, but if it's a religious Christian, he has to be a missionary. There is no such thing as a religious Christian that's not a missionary. Of course, the most religious and the most aggressive in the missionizing is the evangelical Christian, but all Christians are missionaries. There's no question about it. It's part of their religion. It's no different than Jews, le'avdil, observing Shabbat as one of the basic covenants of Judaism. One of the basic covenants of Christianity is to missionize specifically after Jews. So this is one of the things that's very hard for the religious Jewish world to comprehend, to accept, and needless to say, to reject Christianity due to it. Because why? These Christians have a lot of money, and they open a lot of orthodox doors by blinding them with money and a fake smile that says, we're your friend, we're Zionists, we love Jews. Yeah, you love us because you want to convert us. But unfortunately, Rabotai, this is the idolatry that's in the world that is the most dangerous. And one of the reasons is because they are very, very smooth with their tactics, and they adapt to the environment. They change their words according to the times. And in the past, they used to simply murder us in cold blood, if we didn't adopt to their belief. Today, they call themselves Messianic Jews. They call themselves Messianic Jews, as if we are brothers, as if you're a Jew and I'm a Jew, and they'll even bring a Jew from birth and tell you, look, he's a Jew and he even was a rabbi. Obviously it's all made up stories, but nonetheless, they'll bring you Jews that have converted to Christianity and say, look, we are Jews, you're a Jew, we just believe that Yoshke is the Messiah. So it's okay to believe Yoshke is the Messiah. It's not only not okay to believe that Yoshke is the Messiah, it's idol worship to believe Yoshke is the Messiah. And the reason why is because what Jews don't understand is that the Jewish definition of the word Messiah is a world apart from the Christian, Messianic Jewish definition of the word Messiah. To us, the word Messiah means a human being that came from a woman, that was married to a man, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu one day decides to make this person the new prophet that's going to bring salvation to the world, and with all types of extra strength that HaShem is going to instill into that person. But nonetheless, this person, regular person, flesh and blood, puts his pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. That's it, it's a person. Definition in Christianity of Messiah is God. That's what they believe the Messiah is. They believe the Messiah is actually another word for God. They believe Yoshke is part of God because they believe that their God is, divided into three, which is what makes Christianity into idolatry. So that's, in essence, what the Christians want us to do, is that, listen, we are Jewish, you are Jewish. We believe in God, you believe in God. Just add Yoshke to the equation. Add Yeshua. It's even a Jewish name, Yeshua. Add it to your name. Idol worship. Same thing then as the Greeks. Same thing as the Greeks. They said, listen, you want to believe in your God, no problem, as long as you also add ours to it also. And then you could just simply just add as many as you want whenever you want, but as long as it's not just one God of Israel. And that was one of the foundational tactics that the Greeks had, that they knew from the heretical Jews that were on their team. This is the deal breaker between them and God. Once they become idol worshippers, that's it. God's going to do the rest of the job for you guys. God's going to destroy them. God's going to simply abandon them. That's it. Once they forsake their own God and start believing in other gods, even if they believe in God himself, but they also believe in other gods, then they become idol worshippers. Then there's no covenant between them and God. The covenant is broken. The deal is broken. HaShem Yirachem. HaShem Yirachem. And unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, that betrayal was actually done by Jews. That was actually why we're celebrating. Why we're celebrating Chanukah, that the war that we won, really the biggest war, was eliminating all of these idol worshippers that call themselves Jewish. These mityavnim. They said, no, we're Jewish, but we're wearing Greek clothes. And we go to the Greek Colosseum. We watch basketball and football. And we watch Netflix and read books by Aristotle and Plato. What about Rabbi Akiva and Chaverav? No, I didn't get to that yet. He knows everything about Plato, Aristotle, Nietzsche. He knows the books by every philosopher under the sun. But you ask him one halacha or one melacha of Shabbat, he doesn't even know what you're talking about. He goes, what do you mean? Like a salt? What's a melacha? Melacha is salt. Comes from the word melach. Melach is salt. No, melacha, one of the prohibitions of Shabbat. Oh, I don't know, what, you're not allowed to sing or something? No, it's actually one of the things you are allowed to do. You're allowed to sing. Oh, okay, so what, you're not allowed to eat? What are you talking about, eat? That's all we do on Shabbat. We eat, we study, we sleep. Oh, okay, so what? So Shabbat's the same thing then. Okay, so fine, I'll drive to your house on Shabbat. They have no idea what you're talking about. Why? Greeks that were born Jewish. Greeks that were born Jewish. I met a young man one time, and he tells me that I met him at a gas station. And he tells me that he just came back from the army in Israel, and finding out that he's Jewish, I spent some time with him, start talking to him, and I tell him, okay, so you observe Shabbat? He says, what do you mean, like not drive? I said, yeah, like not drive on Shabbat. He goes, no, I'm not at that level yet. I'm not at that level yet. But my father's really religious, he says to me. I said, oh, so your father observes Shabbat, he doesn't drive? He goes, no, he drives, but he's really religious. So hold on a second, wait, he drives on Shabbat, but he's really religious? That doesn't really make any sense. He goes, yeah, he drives to the synagogue. So I said, yeah, but he's still not allowed to drive, not to the synagogue and not to the mall, not allowed to drive on Shabbat. He goes, no, he's really religious, Rabbi. I'm telling you, he's really religious. You'd love to have him in your community. I said, why? Why? What makes him so religious? He says, him and Mr. Such and Such are the two biggest donors in the synagogue. That's what makes him so religious, because he donates a lot of money. And unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, there are many Chachamim that discussed taking money from people that are not religious, from people that are corrupt, from people that are unethical. And actually, I learned today with Rav Ephraim that Chachamim have written extensively about this subject, to the point where they said that when a rabbi takes money from people he knows are unethical, he knows they made their money in some cash advance, money lending with interest that's destroying people, or some type of bait and switch store where they're, cheating the customers, or some other form of criminality out there. He knows that this guy just makes money. Or better yet, hey, Rabbi, listen, here's my maaser. Where? Oh, good. Congratulations. Oh, yeah, I won that tournament, Rabbi. You probably were praying for me. Oh, you won that World Series of Poker tournament? Chazaku Baruch. Chazaku Baruch. I knew you could do it. Good job. Yeah, I knew. I prayed for you. My wife and I read Tehillim for you on Shabbat for you to win that poker tournament. That rabbi that takes a cent of gambling money, knowingly that it's from this, that rabbi will start having desires for things he's never had desires of. Things that the donor has desires to. This is beyond the scope of this particular shiur. B'ezrat Hashem, perhaps we'll do a shiur about this maybe next week or the following. But it's very, very dangerous for rabbis to take money from anybody, knowing that they're criminals spiritually. And unfortunately, that explains to us why there are certain people that used to be very good, very strong rabbis 10, 15, 20 years ago. But today, it's hard to tell the difference between him and somebody secular or reform. Very hard to tell the difference. He invites Christian missionaries to his synagogue. He has a operating parking lot on Shabbat with 200-300 cars every Shabbat. He writes a book promoting homosexuality and all types of things that are 100% against the Torah. Why? You accepted money from spiritual criminals, knowing they're spiritual criminals, knowing that he made that money cheating somebody, knowing he made that money gambling, knowing he made that money in a way that's prohibited according to the Torah. You still took it. You have a serious problem. What's your problem? His character traits, his filthy desires, his impurity is going to go on you now. It's going to go on you now. And all of a sudden, this guy is 70, 75 years old, and he has desires of a 20-year-old. And he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why. Well, I don't understand. Why? I can barely get out of bed. Why do I want to go chase after some 20-year-old girl? Habibi, keep taking money from guys that you know are criminals, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And unfortunately, that's also part of the reason of why you see sometimes that certain people that have been rabbis for many, many years, all of a sudden are found to be pedophiles. Pedophiles taking advantage of young boys and girls. What happened? Perhaps, in some cases, is because they went and they took money from simply anybody under any price. And also, while taking the money at any price and from anybody, they also took unknowingly the character traits and the desires of that donor. Shem Yishmor v'Yatzil. Anyway, Rabotai, the next decree that the Greeks instituted was, don't call yourself Jewish. Don't call yourself Jewish. This, Rabotai, is, from my perspective, one of the most dangerous things that has happened in the world 2,000 years ago, and needless to say today. People are embarrassed of their Judaism. People are simply embarrassed of their Judaism. One of the things that I admire about the Hasidic people, whether it's Satmar or Tzanz or Bobov, or any of them that are really strong Hasidim, or the ones that are really, really strong Sephardis, the Yemenites, certain sects within Sephardi Judaism, you see that they are so proud of their Judaism. You see it not just inside, because you can't tell what's inside all the time, but you see it on the outside. They walk proudly as Jews, with their streimels, with their bekashe, with their tzitzit out, tzitzit in, all types of different looks, the beard a certain way, the kippah a certain size, all types of things. They're proud of their Judaism. Today, Rabotai Karim, people are embarrassed of their Judaism. Why? He doesn't want to put a kippah on. What does he put on? He puts a hat. He puts a hat because that's how some impure Hollywood star that he admires, that's how he looks like. Oh, listen, Rabbi, in the business world, people don't really want to see kippah. But if they saw me in a hat, they'll accept me. Accept you? Accept you? You being the son or daughter of the King of Kings, and you're worried about being accepted, you idiot? You should decide whether to accept them. No, what do you mean, Rabbi? Anti-Semitism, Rabbi. Anti-Semitism? Anti-Semitism? Go find somewhere else to work. Go find somebody else to do business with. Anti-Semitism. I made tens of millions of dollars in my life. What, do you think I didn't deal with anti-Semitism and that bothered me? It makes a difference. You're anti-Semitic? Okay, go fly kite. I'll go find another customer. Find another customer. What are you putting yourself into? You're embarrassed of your Judaism? You chamor? You're embarrassed? That's what it is. He's embarrassed of his Judaism, Rabbi. He doesn't want to put a kippah on. He wants to put a hat. Or the worst yet is when you see yeshiva bachurim wearing outright goyish clothes in yeshiva, but they think it's kosher. Why? Their suit is like this. It's so tight you could see their ribs through the jacket, and the pants are 100% forbidden according to the Torah. Not even rabbis. The pants the yeshiva bachurim sometimes wear are so tight, they're prohibited according to the Torah. Because they're not modest. They show the genitals of the guy. Disgusting. Gross. So feminine. What happened to you? Why are you trying to look like some impure Hollywood star? Look like a Jew. Look like a regular person at least. Why do you have to look like some tameh you saw in a music video? Rabbi, that's the suits they sell today. Then go wear sweatpants. Go wear a sack. Don't wear these suits that make you look like you just came out of some Hollywood film, HaShem Yishmor v'Yatzil. People are wearing these clothes and they're embarrassed to look Jewish. Embarrassed to look Jewish. Like, yeah, but Rabbi, the suits, it's a little hip. I got $50,000, $100,000 worth of suits in my closet I can't wear because they're half my size now. Trust me, I know more about suits than any of you. Every suit I have is custom made. None of my suits ever fit me like that. None of my suits will ever fit me like that. Why? That's not how a suit's supposed to fit. Throughout all of history, suits were not supposed to fit tight. Supposed to be loose, but fitted to your body to a certain extent. You're wearing a suit that's literally like skinny jeans, like spandex? What's the matter with you? You call yourself a Jew? Busha v'chirpa to all of those people. And yet you have some obnoxious people actually buy these suits and they're stepping on the podium and pretending to be rabbis. You have a supermodel from Hollywood wearing suits of some impure person from Hollywood, some impure fashion designer from France invented, and he wants to call himself a rabbi. He wants to call himself a Torah scholar. This, Rabotai, is Greek mentality. Greek mentality. You have to be proud of your Judaism. Look Jewish. The more you look Jewish, the better. Why? They see Jewish. Doesn't matter what clothes you wear. It doesn't matter what clothes you wear. The world is programmed in such a way by HaKadosh Baruch Hu's hand himself that the world will always see you as a Jew no matter what you do. The most obnoxious thing that ever exists in the world is to see a Jew pretend to be not Jewish. You see a bunch of young kids pretending to be rappers. Everybody's a rapper now because they know how to rhyme, grime and pine or something. Like any stupid word they come up with, they became a rapper. And everybody has some zona in the background and he makes a video with a $3 camera and he puts it on YouTube. Yeah, what do you think? I can make it? Yeah, to Gehenom, for sure you're making it. For that video, it's at least 10-year sentence in Gehenom. No, come on, stop kidding around. Don't you think I can make it? I'm better than Busta Rhymes and Eminem and 50 Cent and all those other degenerate losers that are criminals. You're a Jew. You're the son of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're the son of the King of Kings. Why are you acting like an ape? Why are you acting like a donkey? Why are you acting like some guy that just broke out of jail? You're a Jew. You're a rapper now? What the hell's the matter with you? You're a Jew. The world's never going to look at you like anything other than a Jew. You think in the history of mankind there's ever going to be a world where they accept some Jewish guy as a rapper and don't remember that he's a Jew at all times? Yes, once in a blue moon there's a Jew that actually succeeds in sports or in some film or in something, and guess what? The second they do anything wrong, the second anyone decides they did something wrong, guess what? First thing on the headlines, Jew. Why? You're never not going to be a Jew. The world knows you were going to be a Jew. The Nazis knew that you were a Jew. Even if you were fourth generation into marriage, they made you into a Jew. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided you're a Jew whether you like it or not. So you might as well live like a Jew, act like a Jew, serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu like a Jew, and get rewarded like a Jew. But unfortunately, Rabotai, people are embarrassed of the image they see in the mirror. It's the most bizarre thing in the world. Most bizarre thing in the world. They want to be like Greeks. Just walk around with a spear, put one of those metal hats with some horse hair on it, and just ride a horse instead of a car. Like, if you just go all out. Why even bother pretending to be like a half a Greek? Just go all out. Get a horse instead of a car. Put some metal hats on your head, and that's it. Go, I'm a Greek. Unbelievable. This, Rabotai, instituted by the Greeks. Do not call yourself a Jew. And unfortunately, about 200 plus years ago, a Orthodox rabbi, Mendelssohn was his name, Shem Reshaim Yerkav, said, be a Jew inside your house and a regular person outside. This statement not only landed him in hell permanently, but this statement began the reform movement. All of his children ended up converting to Christianity, even though he was technically an Orthodox rabbi. All of his kids converted to Christianity. He began the reform movement with some other Reshaim like Geiger and other filthy, disgusting heretics. And Rabotai Karim, till this day the Jewish people are suffering from that statement. Why? Because now this statement is not just in the Reform synagogues that's comprised of mostly non-Jews altogether. This statement you will sometimes hear inside Orthodox shuls. They'll start calling a new Baal Tshuva. You're too religious. Why am I too religious? Because I come on time? Because I don't speak during my prayer? Because I don't chit-chat in the synagogue? Because I learn instead of hang out? Because I want to pay attention to the rabbi when he speaks? That's what makes me too religious? Yeah, that's what makes you too religious in the eyes of these heretics that say that you should be a Jew inside, regular person outside. Unfortunately, Rabotai, this is a common thing. A common thing. Why? The Greeks started it and we're continuing it. Because we are embarrassed of our Judaism. Furthermore, Rabotai, we have the next one. The next disaster that was instituted by the Greeks. I know that most of you are not going to like this one. And that's exactly why I'm going to say it. Even more so than the regular umph that we have for everything else. Greek decree. You're no longer allowed to celebrate your Hebrew birthday. Celebrate the birthday according to the Gentile calendar. Because that is what connects you to today. Whereas your Hebrew birthday connects you to Judaism, to Torah, to eternity. That's not good. Celebrate the non-Jewish calendar, the Gregorian calendar birthday. That is what you need to do. Why? It was the whole aspect, the whole practice of celebrating a birthday is not a Jewish practice. Where do we see it in the Torah? Only 2 people in the Torah mentioned celebrating their birthday. First one was last week's parasha, Paro. Paro celebrated his birthday, Rabotai. It says at the end of Parashat Vayeshev, Vayi b'yom hashlishi yom uledet et Paro. It was the 3rd day, Paro's birthday. Happy birthday to you. You're gonna go to a few gates, and they're not gonna be in Gan Eden because you're celebrating a non-Jewish birthday. And you have no idea what your Jewish birthday is even. Why? You forgot you're a Jew. You forgot you're a Jew. Unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, people love their non-Jewish birthday. Love their non-Jewish birthday. When were you born? December 12th. Okay, what about Jewish birthday? Oh, I have to check. Okay, when were you born? January 6th. Well, okay, what about Jewish birthday? What is that? Rabotai, who was that person? I'm talking about myself. I had no idea what my Jewish birthday was. Why? I celebrated my so-called non-Jewish birthday most of my life until I realized it's a wrong birthday altogether. Because the Gregorian calendar is simply wrong, mathematically and historically and otherwise. The actual date that you were born is not the date that you're celebrating. Why? Because the calendar itself is wrong. The only calendar that's correct is the Jewish calendar, but that's not really the reason why we don't celebrate the non-Jewish birthday. We don't celebrate because it's not a Jewish practice to celebrate a birthday. Why? Because the celebration of a birthday is something that the Gentiles created in order to connect you to materialism and this world even further, even deeper. So, you got older. Therefore, you should be rewarded with more stuff. You get yourself more stuff. And it's congratulations. You're now 40 years old. Wow, the big 4-0. What do you want for your birthday? Well, to live another year? People don't know. Car, a house, maybe another wife, maybe this, maybe that. He wants stuff. Why? He achieved surviving 40 or 50 or 60 years, as if it's any real achievement. The celebration of birthdays in general, when they're secular birthdays, connects people to this world and makes them forget about eternity. A Jew thinks about eternity. That's what a Jew does. A Jew thinks about eternity. Why? Because if you think about just this world, you will become a criminal just in this world and forever. But if you think about eternity, then you have a chance of being good in this world. So you have an eternity of good. So you have an eternity of good. And a Jew that gets to another birthday, generally speaking, it's not a cause for celebration. Why? It's a responsibility. Wow, I'm in this world 20 years. What have I done so far? I have so much more to go. I have to get this. I have to get married. I have to get this. I have to have kids. I have to learn the Shas a few more times. I have to write a book. I have to write 2 books. I have to do that. I have to that. You think about all your responsibilities. 30 years old. Oh man, 30 years in this world and I still haven't achieved half the stuff that I need to. Forget about want to. Getting to an older age is not an achievement. It's an acknowledgement of a responsibility. Why? Because we're not living for this world. We're living for an eternal world. And unfortunately, Rabotai, the Greek mentality has infiltrated our system so much that if you don't celebrate your children's birthday, you can lose them. So we have to almost accept the lesser of the evils and try to figure out how to keep our kids interested in Judaism, but at the same token, not become outright goyim. So what do? Okay, I want to celebrate my 1-year-old kid's birthday. How could I justify celebrating my 1-year-old kid's birthday? Well, what did the 1-year-old achieve? Diapers, eating, sleeping. Okay, so not so much. All right, what does the 1-year-old think about their responsibilities? I don't think they really think about their responsibilities. So how can I justify spending money and time just for the glamour of having a 1-year-old birthday? How about finish a masechet? Finish a masechet in the Shas. And then do the so-called birthday on the same day that you do Siyum Masechet. So in reality, the real celebration is that you completed a Masechet. Complete Masechet Shabbat, Masechet Ta'anit, Masechet Bava Metzia, Masechet whatever, any Masechet. Then you have a real reason to celebrate. You want to have a little kid running around on that same day with a balloon? By all means, have a good time. But celebrate the Torah, not the fact that somebody got older. Somebody just turns 30, turns 40, turns 50 years old. I want to have a birthday party. Why? Why do you want a birthday party? What are you celebrating exactly? I'm celebrating that I got to 50 years old. So, what does that exactly achieve in the world? You want to celebrate? Make it a Torah celebration. Make it a Torah celebration. Invite a bunch of chachamim to the house. Have each chacham give a dvar Torah for 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes. Have an entire day of Torah. That's something to celebrate. Finish a masechet in the Shas. Finish a masechet in the Mishnah. Finish one of the series that is a fundamental teachings of the Torah. Then you have a reason to celebrate. Celebrating a birthday has nothing to do with Judaism. Has nothing to do with Judaism. We're not saying don't celebrate. Want to celebrate? You could literally celebrate every single day if you want. If you're real serious Talmid Chacham, you could complete something in the Torah every single day and have a reason to celebrate. The Gaon Vilna would have every single seudah, every single meal that he had to be a meal of mitzvah. What does it mean, a meal of mitzvah? There has to be some type of Torah achievement, some type of Torah accomplishment, some type of mitzvah that justified this meal. And more times than not, what justified his meal is that he completed another masechet. And every day he would complete another 1 or 2 masechets every day. Why? Because he would eat. He would eat Torah. And then, as a result, also eat food too. Also eat food too. That's a person that lived life with eternity on his mind. The Greeks wanted us to live this world, Rabotai, just like them. And they still do to this day. Don't let them. The next thing that the Greeks did is exactly what the Zionists are doing today. No more bet deans according to the Torah. Judge in civil courts only. Judge in civil courts only. How can you cause the Jewish people to buy into this? To abandon the Jewish courts. That is, our Torah says that a Jew that goes to civil court is considered a heretic. It's Chilul Hashem. It's a disgrace to the Torah itself. You're only allowed to go to a civil court if you get permission from a bet din. You have to get permission. You can't just go to civil court. And more times than not, there's no permission of going to civil court. Quite frankly, that's the reason why a very problematic profession is to be a lawyer, or needless to say, a judge in a civil court as a Jew. Why? Because you're bound to break Torah laws. And if you are a person that is defending a criminal and you get this person off the hook, you have a very, very, very serious problem. You have a very serious problem. If you have a case and you are, let's say, on the prosecutor side, You're working for the government because you're, let's say, during your first 5 or 10 years in the legal world. So you work for the district attorney's office. And you guys found some guy was doing insider trading. He was buying and selling all types of stocks with information from the company that wasn't public information. You found out, you convicted him, and now he gets 20, 25 years in prison because of that, because of your legal work. Guess what? You're going to Edom for a very long time. You're going to Edom for a very, very long time. Why? You just put a Jew in jail for no reason whatsoever. Insider trading is not against the Torah. So it's a very, very serious problem to be a lawyer. Very serious problem. Needless to say, to even go into a civil court is a problem. But nonetheless, there is a need for it to a certain extent, whether it's for business reasons or to protect the people that are being victimized and so on. There is a need for it. But only somebody that has very serious Yirat Shamayim, would ever even dare look into this field in the first place and think, you know what? I have to learn a lot more before Torah. Before I even think about learning more about the law of the land. But how many people like that? How many? The Greeks wanted civil court to be the only court. What was the way that they're going to convince the Jewish people? The heretic Jews told them, listen, according to the Jewish law, women do not receive inheritance. When their parents die, they don't receive inheritance. So in our civil court system, we say that women get inheritance just like the men. So you see, we are pro-women. We are feminist Greeks. That's how they tried to get to people, by simply saying we are for the women, even though they show that they're against the women when they told us that we're not allowed to do a ketubah, which is really for the sake of protecting the woman, that our husband doesn't abandon her for no reason and leave her in the streets. But they said, no, we're for the woman because we're going to give the women an inheritance, which, according to the Torah, they don't get an inheritance. They can get a gift while the parents are alive. They get certain things, but they don't get an actual inheritance. And there's different reasons for this, but nonetheless, it's biblical knowledge. It's biblical laws. It's not some rabbinical enactment. It's a biblical law. Women do not get an inheritance the same as men. Simply doesn't. The Greeks said, see, you're against women. It's not against women. It's not against women. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not against women. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not against women. But the Greeks will make you think that. The Greeks will make you think that. When you don't understand the law, it's easy to arrive at the wrong conclusion. It's easy to arrive at the wrong conclusion. And that's one of the things that the Messianic Jews, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, the organization One for Israel, or Michael Brown, or Asher Meza, or all of these other missionaries and pro-missionary type people, that's what they do best. They make people hate the kosher rabbis, hate the sages, hate Musar, hate truth. They make them hate them. Why? By distorting the actual facts. Distorting the Torah and making it seem as if it's outdated or something that is not relevant or perhaps even bizarre and so on and so forth. I promise you, if you learn Torah, you could arrive at the right conclusion about every single thing to the point where you'll say, you know what? This is not only genius, this is divine. It's not only genius, it's divine. Because a human being couldn't have thought of such an amazing law. Every single one of the laws. Doesn't make a difference which one you pick. Every single law, the more you understand it, the more you realize that this is divine in its nature, because a human being could not conjure up such a thing. Could not conjure up such a thing. Now, the Greeks will make you think otherwise. The Messianic Jews will make you think otherwise. And how come they're succeeding? Because they're relying on the fact that most of the audience listening to them are ignorant and don't actually know the full scope of the law, don't actually know that the inheritance laws are in favor of the woman, don't actually know that Judaism is more in favor of the woman than it is of the man, don't know all of these things. They're ignorant. Simply whatever they hear is what they know, and only the part that they remember. So, to enact such a law by eliminating the Beit Din wasn't necessarily such a difficult thing for the Greeks to do, and needless to say, it's not so difficult for them to institute into our society today. Although the legal system in its nature, the whole Supreme Court setup of how you have lower courts and that all go up all the way to a civil court, that's something that comes from the Torah itself. It didn't come from the Greeks, it didn't come from the Romans, it didn't come from anybody else. It comes from the Torah itself. It's a Parashat Yitro. Parashat Yitro tells Moshe Rabbeinu to have a court system. Hashem instilled an idea in Yitro because he loved him so much for his mesirut nefesh, for his sacrifice that he made. As soon as he heard about the God of Israel and what he did, he abandoned all of his money and his false beliefs and idolatry and went to join Am Yisrael. So Yitro is a extraordinary holy person, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give him even more credibility that's going to be relevant to our day-to-day life today. And he gave him the insight of building the court system that we use till this day, both in secular court as well as in a Beit Din. And the whole thing of court system and judgment and so on, it's all in the Torah. It's all in the Torah. It's literally the written Torah. But unfortunately, the Greeks and the seculars and the Messianics are going to say otherwise. And they're relying on the fact that most people are ignorant, don't really know what's being said, don't know how to verify what's being said, and unfortunately are very vulnerable to spiritual predators. The only protection for such a thing is simply to make yourself knowledgeable in Torah by learning Torah on a regular basis. An hour a day, 2 hours a day, 5 hours a day, each person, his own ability, but every single day. As I wrote in my book, Yasem Midbar Le'Agamayim, which Baruch Hashem is really getting into a lot of places. And in this book, I mentioned the story that Rabbi Ephraim, when we first started learning, we used to learn 7 hours on Thursday nights, and then he told me that I have to start learning every day. I said, I can't learn 7 hours every day. He said, no, learn a little bit every day. I said, yeah, but instead of learning a little bit every day, let's just learn an extra hour or 2 hours or 3 hours on Thursday. Instead of 7 hours, learn 8 hours. No. He said it's better that you learn a little bit every day, even if it's only 15 minutes. I said, why can't I just take all those 15 minutes of the whole week and combine them? And he says to me, if you took 20 steaks and you ate them all in one day, is that going to allow you to fast for a week? I said, no. He said, exactly. If you leave HaKadosh Baruch Hu for one day, he leaves you for 2. Torah needs to be learned every single day. And it's never been easier to learn Torah every day as it is today. Because today, you don't just have the books and libraries and Bet Midrash. You have easy access to books. You have easy access to Shurei Torah. You have the Be'ezrat Hashem app, which is a innovation, a Torah innovation of itself. How much Torah you have in an app. You have the all different types of media that we have out there. The WhatsApp groups, the SoundClouds, the Roku channel, the Tikkun Abrit channel, the Tikkun Abrit website, the Be'ezrat Hashem website. You have YouTube. You have literally so many different ways to get Torah. And not just audio, video, textual, Hebrew, English, French, Spanish, Russian. I mean, it's literally, there's no end. Torah has never been as accessible and as easy to learn as it is today. You want to get books that were written by the sages 1,000 years ago? $20 and you have it. You simply go to a website, they're willing to send you a book that's 1,000 years old. It was written 1,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, $20. Sometimes even less. Sometimes even less. If you want to get anything in the secular world that's older than a week, you're already going to give a arm and a leg for it. Arm and a leg. Tell somebody, listen, can I get, a book from 2,000, 3,000 years ago? Doesn't exist. And if it does exist, nobody can read it. But if you're a Jew, you have millions of books written in the last 3,000 years. You can even get many of them for free. Go to different websites like HebrewBooks.com or .org. You could go to Safari that has, if you can avoid the heretical commentary that they add sometimes from the Christians and the Reformers, and you simply stick to the text, you'll be okay. You go to the Merkava, another website that has countless books for free on the internet. There are many others. Many others. I always prefer hard copy, but nonetheless, sometimes you have to do what you got to do, and you have to use sources from the internet. But the point being is that nobody has an excuse. Nobody has an excuse not to learn Torah, because Torah is like that. Easy, cheap, to the point of being free. Of course, Rabotai, if a person wants to do something bad enough, they find a way to do it. Just like you found a way to buy yourself a house, you found a way to get yourself a car, you found a way to get yourself married and even have kids, you can find yourself a way to learn Torah every day. Next thing is, Rabotai, the decree number 19. We're almost done. No bikurim. No bikurim. This is the 7th species. These were the first fruits that were brought to Jerusalem. The Greeks instituted a law. They are not allowed to bring the first fruits to Jerusalem. Why? It shows that you believe in God and you're even a grateful person. You do not need to be grateful to anybody. You did it. You grew it, according to the Greek mentality, according to the secular mentality. You don't owe anybody anything. You got yourself the way you are. How many millions of times have we heard that stupid expression? You got yourself to where you are today. You don't owe anybody anything. Heresy. If you did not have a Kadosh Baruch Hu for even a millisecond, you wouldn't be able to exist in the world. מודה אני לפניך מלכי וקיים שהחזרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך. A Jew begins his day with thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Thank you for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not just for giving me life, giving me the ability to live, giving me the desire to live, giving me the tools to live, and most importantly, giving me the knowledge of why I should live. Most people simply are like Legos. They're there. Sometimes when they get lost, you forget you even had it. Most people don't even know why they're even in this world. They go, they work, they sleep. Go, work, sleep. No work? Okay, so they'll just sleep a little longer. They're not even sure why they're alive. Why? A person doesn't have a Kadosh Baruch Hu in their life, there's simply no reason to exist. There's simply no reason to exist without a Kadosh Baruch Hu. But one of the most important things for a person to do, needless to say, if he's a Jew, if she's a Jew, is to show gratitude to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One of those obnoxious comments that a person could ever say. Why do I need to do what God said? I didn't ask him to bring me into this world. You are an obnoxious, ungrateful excuse of a human being. And don't excuse me for saying it because it's true. But don't worry, I'm not the first one that said it. It's mentioned in the Gemara. It's mentioned in the Gemara. They come to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and they tell him, Rabbi, how could it be that the body is going to get punished if really it's the soul that's moving it? And how is it that the soul is going to get punished if the body is what's actually doing the sins? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says to them, you're right, they don't get punished individually. They get punished together. That's why the first thing that happens after a person gets buried is the Malachim show up at the kever and deepen the kever and stand them up and put the body and the soul inside. And he's back to being alive. She's back to being alive. Why? Because you made the sin together. You made the sin together. What is it like, says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai? There was once a king who had a very expensive orchard with all types of fancy fruits, and he was scared that somebody's going to rob him, but he needed to leave. So who's going to watch it? So he picked two people. One guy was a blind, and the other guy was paraplegic. He said, you guys watch it. He knows that if the paraplegic steals the fruit, he can't run away. And the blind guy doesn't see what's there. So as soon as the king leaves, the paraplegic tells the blind guy, you see what's here? No, I can't see. Pfft, the best fruits in the world. It's worth millions. All right, let's get it. I can't move. Paraplegic. Oh, listen, I got legs. Jump on my shoulders. By the time the king comes back, the whole orchard is completely empty. And the king says to them, what happened? There's nothing. We're here. I can't move. He can't see. What are you talking about? The wise king says, you're right. I can't punish you individually. You went on top of him. He can see and he can walk. And therefore he punished them together. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. He combines the neshama, he combines the body, and he punishes them together. But then the chutzpan that says, but I didn't ask him to be here. Don't worry, it's also in the Gemara. Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel argue for hundreds of years. Was it worth it for a person to come to this world or not? Conclusion of the argument. Due to the fact that there are more ways to sin and go against Hashem than there are ways to honor Hashem and serve Him, therefore you're more likely to sin than to make a mitzvah, therefore it was better off you didn't exist. Because if you're going to live and go against Hashem, it's better off you didn't live. But since you're actually already alive, it's good that you're alive. Why? Because now you know and you can serve Hashem. So how does that answer my whole thing? Because everybody in the world has a will to live. And whoever doesn't is a suicidal person, is usually spiritually sick. Usually spiritually sick. But most normal people, their greatest will they have is the will to live. Meaning that even if you didn't ask to be here, the reality is that now that you're here, says Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, you want to live. Even though you didn't ask to be here. But now that you're alive, if somebody told you, okay, you know what, you don't want to do mitzvah, I'll just kill you. No, don't kill me. I'll do it. So you want to live. No, I don't want to live. I didn't ask to be here. Okay, so we'll kill you. No, don't kill me. Okay, so you want to live. Now that you're alive, you want to live. And if you want to live, there's a price. You want to live, there's a price. It's no different than anything else in life. You have a house. You want to live in that house, you have to pay for the house. Yeah, but I didn't ask to be in this house. Okay, go somewhere else. Go in the streets. No, I need to live somewhere. Okay, so you pay for the house. But I didn't ask to live here. Okay, so get out of here then. If you want to live here, you have to pay a price. If you want to drive in this country, you have to pay a price. You have to obey the law. If you want to eat here, you have to pay. Everything has laws. You can't just say, I didn't ask to be here. Because the reality is, now that you're here, you want it. Now that you're here, you want it. And if you want to be anywhere, you want to be in a certain country, you want to be in a certain environment, you want to be in a certain job, you want to be in a certain house, you want to be in a certain relationship, there are rules to it. Don't play stupid with God. But unfortunately, a person that's ungrateful easily gets to that conclusion of, it's God's fault that I'm here, therefore that should absolve me from listening to Him. The root of that is ungrateful arrogance. And the Greeks love that mentality. Therefore, the Institute of Law says we have to eliminate any show of gratitude, which means that all of the first fruits that you were supposed to bring to Jerusalem as a show of gratitude and blessing to Hashem, not allowed to bring them. Why? Don't say thank you to Hashem. You grew the fruits. You toiled. You woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You did everything. You don't have to say thank you to nobody. That's the mentality of a Greek. Next decree is no more trees brought to the Bet HaMikdash. Why? Bet HaMikdash, according to the Greeks, is simply a building. You bring in trees for sacrifices, for all types of fires, have to do with God? No, it's unbearable. No more trees. No more trees. This is what the Zionists also want, to give a part of what's remains of the Bet HaMikdash to the reformers, to the women of the wall, to the ones that desecrate the Torah day and night, that give bar mitzvahs to dogs, and promote intermarriage. They want to give them a piece of the Western Wall. Why? Because they believe it's just a wall. Just like the Greeks believed the Bet HaMikdash was just a building. Next decree was no more chesed. No more chesed. If you started a website, called it bhchesed.org, death penalty. Death penalty in the Greek Empire. Why? No more chesed. Not allowed to do chesed. Not allowed to help people. Why? Why not? Because showing chesed does not promote individuality. It promotes unity. It promotes obligation to do good according to a higher, supreme judgment. Unacceptable. For each, their own. Just like Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, but our nature as Jews is to do chesed. Exactly the reason why you are forbidden from doing chesed according to the Greeks. Because it's just going to remind you of where you came from. We want you to forget where you came from. Unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, this is one of the things that is most common among certain neighborhoods, but rarely ever paid attention to. Because most people view as doing chesed, doing kindness, as simply a preference, something you have a choice to do. You should do it. It's nice to do it, but you don't have to. That's the problem. When you have a mentality that you could do chesed, but you don't have to, you have a very, very serious spiritual disease. Because one of the signs of a Jew is a moral obligation to do chesed. And one of the signs of an anti-Torah person is simply a belief of for each their own. You do you, I'll do me. Everybody will simply live for themselves. If I want to help, I'll help. If I don't want to help, I don't have to help. And quite frankly, I don't even want to help, they'll tell you. That doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make me immoral. Actually, it makes you worse than a beast. Why? When you live simply for yourself, that means that you're no different than a leech. All you do is take. It's antithetical to the life of a Jew. When you live in the world, there's no such thing as you live in the world and you don't take. There's no such thing. Everybody takes. But as long as you give at least as much as you take or more, then it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But if you only take, you are literally a problem, a very serious problem to society. You're a leech. I'm not saying a person that can't give. I'm talking about a person that chooses not to give. Sometimes a person chooses not to give so much that they convince themselves they can't give. And that's a trait of stinginess, which the Gemara says is one of the things that causes HaShem to hate a person. When a person is stingy, when a person is cheap, HaShem hates that person because it's literally the opposite of God. God only gives. He never gets anything in return. And when the person only takes and never gives, it's literally the opposite of God. It's like lies and God. God is truth. God hates it. A person that's stingy, it's a very, very, very bad thing. Why? Because most people, when they think of stinginess, they think of money. Oh yeah, he doesn't give tips. Oh, he doesn't donate. No. A person that's stingy, it's not just with money. Of course it's with money. That's the obvious. Stingy with money, it's almost like a common thing. Everybody's got a friend that's stingy. Common thing. But that's not the only... If a person is stingy, they sometimes can be generous with one thing, but stingy with everything else. And in Shemaim, they're just as stingy. So he could donate $100,000 to the synagogue. And still in Shemaim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates him because he's stingy. He's stingy. Why? Multiple examples. One, he gave $100,000, and in reality he should be giving $1 million according to how much he has. The $100,000 that he gave is not really fit what he's really supposed to give. It's much. So already stinginess. Second thing is he only gives for the sake of promoting himself. Not because he cares about the cause, cares about Torah, cares about mitzvot, cares about anything. So that's more of an investment than a charity. Further, a person can give a lot of money, but the second you ask him for a simple favor, now he's never wants to do anything for anybody but himself. He may very well give you money, but you ask him for anything that he's able to do, simply doesn't want to do it. I'm talking about there are some people that are so stingy that they won't even give you an idea, just because they want to be the only one that has it. Like sometimes a person finds a good doctor, or a good cleaning lady, a cleaning person, a good supplier, a good person that fixes cars, a good construction worker, something good. And one of his friends said, "Hey, listen, what kitchen you have? I like it. Who did it for you?" "No, it's my guy." "Yeah, how much?" It's good. It was a good deal." "How much?" "Whatever, don't worry about how much." "Okay, great. Can you give me his phone number?" "He's busy." You know the guy that made your kitchen's schedule already? You're that close to him? Was it really you? No. I just know he's busy. He told me he's busy until 5 years from now. He's so stingy, he doesn't even want to share who made his kitchen. He doesn't want to share who's his doctor. He doesn't want to share who is anything. Why? He wants to be the only guy. "Oh, I like your suit. Who made your suit?" "It's my guy." "Oh, can you give me his phone number?" No. Listen, I don't want him to get too busy because, then he's not going to be able to do my stuff. It's like an old, sad joke that you hear in the frum communities. One guy walks into the synagogue and tells to his friend, "Wow, what a mitzvah I have right now." "Wow, what do you have?" "I got a guy. This guy is helped me out a lot." "Well, what did he do for you?" He said for Kimcha de Pischa, this guy, I gave him the money for Kimcha de Pischa. Supposed to give money to the poor. This guy has nothing. Has absolutely nothing. I don't even know if he has a bed in his house. He's so poor. What? My mitzvah that I gave him money? Best mitzvah I did all year. So his friend says, okay, listen, Baruch HaShem, where is he? Where is he? I want to get him. He goes, no, I can't tell you. Why not? I want to also give. No, find your own homeless guy. What do you mean? Why? I'm keeping him for next year. If you start giving him, everybody starts giving him, he'll become rich. Then I won't have my mitzvah. This is a chassid shoteh. This is a person that thinks he's religious, but he's really a drunk. But where does that stem from? Stinginess. Person, you ask him for a favor. Listen, I heard you know how to do XYZ. Can you tell me how to do it? Listen, it's difficult. Okay, I didn't ask you if it's difficult or not. I asked you, can you tell me how to do it? You said that you do XYZ, right? Yeah, it worked for you. I want to do it also. Can you tell me how to do it? Listen, I don't know if it's for you. I didn't ask you if it's for me. I simply asked you, can you tell me the instructions of how you do ABC just like you? Worst yet, one rabbi has been in the business, he's giving lectures, has a synagogue for years. Now the young avrech wants to come in, wants to give shurim. Hey, Rabbi, listen, you give shurim for 20 years. Can you help me out a little bit? What do you need, son? The sources you use for your lectures, can you give me some of them? Help me out, what to read, where to go. Hey, you have to go read yourself. You have to go do yourself. I can't. Yeah, no. I'm not asking you to give me everything you have, but the lecture that you made 2 days ago or today, Can you tell me what source you use for that? Listen, it took me a long time to get to it. I'm not just going to give you my secrets. There's no bigger wicked person than such a person. Doesn't want to share Torah. Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah says a person that learns Torah but not for the sake of teaching is like a person that doesn't have a God. One of the ways of not teaching is simply also not sharing with a fellow Jew that wants to teach others. Why? Stinginess. Stinginess. You ask people for the smallest things. They make you feel like you're asking them for a lung. It's not only money, Rabotai. It's not only money. It's, unfortunately, the stinginess that you see in society today has become acceptable behavior, no different than how being a criminal has become acceptable behavior. Stinginess is considered being frugal. That's how they rationalize stinginess and cheapness. They call it frugal. And the criminals in business, they call that hustling. That's how they justify criminals, both spiritually and morally. That's how they do it. They call hustling. Hustling, frugal. That's how it is. Rabotai, it's not just about, you want to test whether you're stingy? The next time somebody asks you for something, see what your first response is. I'm not talking about something you can't do. Something that you chose not to do. Somebody asks you for a recipe. They eat at your house. Oh, how'd you make that couscous? Oh, it's an old family recipe. I didn't ask you if it's old. I didn't ask you if it's young. How'd you make it? Can you give me the recipe? Is really what I'm trying to get to. Can you give me the recipe for the couscous? Can you give me the recipe for the shakshuka? Can you give me the recipe for the gush gouge or for something? Can you give me the recipe? Or I have to be your brother's sister's cousin in order for you to give it to me and I have to live in your house for 6 months. Can you give me the recipe for free? Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is no. Why? Stingy. He wants to be the only one that makes that type of food. He wants to be the only one that has that car. He wants to be the only one that gets that suit. And if you're going to go get that suit or that car or have that thing, then you're going to pay more than him, so at least he still can feel better about himself because he got a better deal. Stingy. This is what the Greeks wanted. No chesed. Don't help anybody. Everybody, survival of the fittest. Unfortunately, Rabotai, people make such a big deal about the fact that somebody helped some homeless guy or somebody helped some anything. People make such a big deal about seeing somebody help another person. It doesn't show that that person is so great. It actually shows how morally poor our society is. When they make an entire program or a show, a video that get hundreds of millions of views because finally somebody helped some poor guy, finally somebody helped some institution, finally somebody did something good, and they make a whole big show about it, a whole big program. It has like a zillion views because nobody has seen anything like it. It doesn't show that that person is so great. It actually shows how morally poor everybody else is. Because what he did is supposed to be normal. Needless to say, in our society of Jews, the good is what we're supposed to have as normal. No one is supposed to call you and beg you to donate. No one is supposed to beg you to take them somewhere if you can. No one is supposed to beg you for anything. You are supposed to go chase opportunities to help other people. You are supposed to be like customer service. You have to have the mentality of what customer service does. What does customer service does? Hello, how can I help you? That's how you're supposed to be in real life. You want to be a real Jew? That's how you're supposed to be in real life. How can I help you? Should be the motto in your life. Not, should I meet that guy? What can I get out of him? Start measuring people up. Is he worth to talk to? What can I get out of him? She worth it to talk to? What can I get out of her? You think she'll introduce me to somebody else? So maybe it is worth it to talk to her. You think he'll connect me over there? You think he'll share the season tickets with me? You think he'll introduce me to investors? Everybody looks at everybody as like simply targets. What can I get out of everybody? That's a miserable, lowly Sodom and Gomorrah society. Rabotai Karim, I'm not saying not to praise those that do good. You should praise them. But you should ask yourself, how come you're not doing it? Again, everybody in their own capacity. If he gave $1 million and all you can give is 10, by all means, give 10. But don't tell me I'm not going to give until I have $1 million. Because that just simply is justifying your stinginess. Justifying your stinginess. A person that only wants to give when he has a lot is in essence bringing the Satan himself to his life. Why? That Satan is going to do everything possible to make sure you don't have a lot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't look for people to give a lot. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to give your heart. Achmana libaba. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm not looking for a lot. I have a lot. Liya kisef v'liya zahav nehum Hashem tzivot. Mine is the money, mine is the gold, says the God of the Master of Legions. Mine is everything. I'm not looking for you to give a lot. I'm looking for you to give your heart. If your heart has $1 million, give $1 million. If your heart has 1,000, give 1,000. If your heart has $10, give $10. If your heart has a recipe for couscous, give a recipe for couscous. If your heart has the ability to give somebody a ride to the airport, give a ride to the airport and stop being stingy. Oh, he's such a nice guy. You know what he did? What? He lent him the ladder. So what do you want him to do? Kill him with the ladder? What else do you do with a ladder if you don't need it? No, isn't he a nice guy? No, he's normal. He's normal. You're not normal. That you think it's such a big deal that he gave him a ladder. Yes, it's nice. But it's not normal that you think it's a big deal. Oh, look, wow, Mr. Steve over there donated $1 million to the yeshiva. Isn't he amazing? He's a billionaire. He should have given $100 million. Oh, listen, he should have, but he still gave $1 million. Isn't that good? No! If he has $1 billion and he gives $1 million, it's a very serious problem in Shemayim. You think that since he already gave and according to your standards it's a lot, therefore it makes him nice. No, Habib, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand. If you are going to live in a Kadosh Baruch Hu's world, you have to acknowledge that he's the one that runs the world. And a Kadosh Baruch Hu that gives you to no end simply wants you to emulate him. You give. Not to no end because you're limited. But at least give what you can. Give what you could afford. You could afford to give time, give time. You could afford to give money, give money. You could afford to give a skill, give a skill. If the only thing you have is directions, give directions. If you have a source, give a source. If you have a recipe, give a recipe. You know how to diet? Well, give the diet. Whatever it is you have, just give it. Don't ask so many questions of who, why, when, how. That's all stinginess. It's all stinginess. Why? The root of it is, I'm going to share my stuff. I don't want to share my stuff. It's mine. I worked for it. Worked for it. You're a schnitzel that's walking with arms and legs. What worked for it? What worked for it? If a Kadosh Baruch Hu did not give you the thought, the inclination, the resources, you wouldn't be able to survive a second. You dare think that you worked for anything? It's a miracle that we're alive every single second. And yet we have the audacity to take from a Kadosh Baruch Hu non-stop and not want to share it. That is the Greek mentality. Last but not least, Rabotai Karim, the Greeks forbid us to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because prayer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate way to get HaShem to have mercy on us. To have mercy on us. They tried to distance us from HaShem, not to learn His Torah. Unfortunately, many people do that today on purpose. They try to distance us from HaShem by eliminating our holiness. And unfortunately today, Holiness is very difficult to find. They try to distance us from Hashem by forbidding us from doing specific mitzvot like bringing korbanot and saying thank you to Hashem. Today, it's more common for people to complain about Hashem than for them to say thank you to Hashem. So after all the nightmares they made us do, there was one thing left. Stop praying. They didn't want us to pray because that is the last thing that we have that connects us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When push comes to shove and a person's life is on the line, whether they're in trouble with the law or they're in trouble with health or marriage or whatever it is, everybody prays. Everybody prays. At the hospice, my old friend told me, everybody's religious at the hospice. Everybody. The place where everybody's dying, it's just a matter of time. Everyone's religious. Everybody prays. How come he didn't pray before he got to the hospice? He didn't think the hospice was real. He didn't think that dying was real. He thought he was going to live forever. But once everybody is looking at the abyss, everybody prays. The Greeks instituted a law to forbid Jews from praying. Why? That is the last thing you have in your hands to get Hashem to save you from the hell you created for yourself. It's the last thing you have. They wanted that to be eliminated because that's what their partners, the heretic Jews, told them. Get them to stop going to synagogue. Get them to not pray. Tell them it's okay to pray later and later and later and eventually don't pray at all. Unfortunately, Rabotai Karim, sometimes a Beit Knesset opens and it's a beautiful building, but that's all it's going to have, a beautiful building. Why? They can't get 10 people to show up in a minyan to pray there. Why? Everybody's busy. Busy working, busy eating, busy benefiting from HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, and too busy to go and pray to him. That is Greek mentality. It's our obligation to look at our past in order to see what mistakes our forefathers and we ourselves made, in order for us to not only fix the future for ourselves, but also have a house that's so far removed from these mistakes that our children only know about them through the Torah shurim that we make, because they are not making those mistakes. Thank you for learning with me. May you continue to enjoy the Chag. I hope that you enjoy this as much as I did, and it was worth it not to ask questions tonight simply because we were able to finally complete and know all 22 decrees that the Greeks instituted and put on to us, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu saved us from them. Now it's in our hands to save ourselves from them, because really there's nobody putting a gun to our head, telling us not to keep Shabbat, telling us to eat pork, telling us not to have morality. Nobody's putting a gun to our head. It's us. Each of us can overcome these desires. Each of us can fulfill the entire Torah. Each of us was created to fulfill the entire Torah. Each of us can do it. I believe that if I can do it, every one of you can do it even better. And Be'ezrat Hashem, you do. Enjoy the Chag. Thanks for learning with me. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless each and every single one of you. Bekol mikol kol. Chag Chanukah Sameach.
Shalom Ubracha, Chavim Ikarim. We're a few days away from having our extraordinary holiday of Chanukah. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat, page Chaf Aleph 21, talks about how it's our obligation to elevate our Kedusha during this time. And really, while all of us can be concerned about getting our best Chanukah, with the most glamorous, the best little gifts for our children, for for those that have the custom to buy their kids gifts. We and perhaps have the best parties for those that choose to have parties. Really, at the same time, we should elevate Kedusha. And Kedusha doesn't necessarily have to do with just ourselves. Kedusha has to do with our nation. Kedoshim tiyu ki kadosh ani. You be holy because I am holy. HaShem is talking to all of us, and all of us have to elevate our own Kedusha. And one of the best ways to elevate our own Kedusha is to be concerned about each other. There are countless people, countless families that are reaching out to us, that are seeking help, financial help, to get food, to have sufganiyot, to have a Chanukah, all basic things. These families, we help them throughout all of the year, Baruch HaShem. In the last year, we have fed 25,000 people. Yishtabach Shemo, 25,000 people through your help. Yishtabach Shemo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is making you the righteous messengers. And although generally our focus is during the high holidays, the reality is while our focus can be the high holidays, their needs are every day. So if you have it in your heart and you also have it in your pocket, please help us. Go to bhchesed.org, bhchesed.org. Donate as much as you possibly can to help a family, whether it's $100 or $500 or $10,000, whatever you can afford. That this will allow us to help as many people as we can during this beautiful holiday that is not only something that is beautiful because of the Chanukah, but also beautiful because it unites us and helps us reach each and every single Jew's neshama. Kol tu b'cha v'atzlacha and Chag Sameach.
אהוביי, אחיי ואחיותיי היקרים, אנחנו מתקרבים לימי החנוכה. הימים הללו שברוב בתי ישראל ששומרים על מסורת מדליקים את האור. מדליקים את החנוכיות, נר ועוד נר, מוסיף והולך. יש כמה בתים, כן, כאן במדינתנו הקטנטונת, שאולי יהיה להם איזה נרות להדליק, אבל הלב יהיה חשוך מאוד. הלב יהיה חשוך מכאבים, מבדידות, מצרות, מעניות. וכשהילדים יעמדו ליד נרות החנוכה ויסתכלו על הנרות שדועכים והולכים, גם הלב שלהם ידעך. הם יראו את החברים עם סופגניות, יראו את החברים עם סביבונים, יראו את המשפחה הרחוקה שלא כל כך יודעת מהמצב שלהם או שלא יכולה לעזור להם, שמחים והם יהיו עצובים. ארגון בעזרת השם, כי הרגלנו בקודש, גם בחנוכה מחליט לשמח את הנשמות, הנרות הקטנים הללו של ילדי ישראל וילדות ישראל, ובעזרת השם עושים חלוקה של דברים טובים והפתעות לילדי ישראל ולמשפחות נזקקות, להאיר להם את הלב. זה בעצם הלקח הגדול שאנחנו צריכים ללמוד מפח השמן הקטן. הפח השמן הקטן שנמצא בבית המקדש, שזה בעצם לזכרו אנחנו באים ועושים וחוגגים את 8 הימים למציאת פח השמן הקטן, לבוא ולמצוא את האנשים הקטנים, את האלו שאף אחד לא מסתכל עליהם, את האלו שהם נראים קטנים אבל הנשמות שלהם גדולות, האלו שנמצאים בצידי הדרכים, האלו שכל השנה זה 9 באב אצלם. זה התפקיד שלנו, לבוא להאיר את האבוקה מלב אל לב, מאחד לשני, מאחת לשנייה, ובעזרת השם ככה אנחנו נקרב את הגאולה, באהבה ובשמחה, בקירוב הלבבות, בקדושה ובטהרה, כמו החשמונאים, נגד היוונים ונגד כל טומאות אמן. חנוכה שמח.
עוד חלוקה נוספת מארגון בעזרת השם, והתורמים היקרים שנותנים צדקה לארגון, כדי שהארגון בעזרת השם יוכל לעזור למשפחות נזקקות, משפחות קשות יום. ארגון בעזרת השם הולך לחלק בימים הקרובים 100 סלי מזון בכל רחבי הארץ. כאן אנחנו מחלקים באזור של טבריה 60 סלי מזון למשפחות נזקקות, והכל תודות לכל מי שתורם לארגון, לרב ירון ראובן, לרב אפרים כחלון, לרבנית שרה כחלון, שיום וליל עושים חיל. יש כאן שפע של מוצרים, ביצים, מוצרים יבשים, דגים, מוצרי חלב, בשרים, סופגניות, שקיות הפתעה לילדים, שתייה ועוד. אנחנו רוצים להודות לכל מי שתרם ותורם ותומך, במיוחד בתקופה של היום שהמצב מאוד מאוד קשה. הנה אנחנו מעמיסים כל הסלים לרכב, מתחילים את החלוקה, נר ראשון של חנוכה, שמח את המשפחות הנזקקות. הכל בזכותכם, הכל הודות לכם, לארגון בעזרת השם היקר. הגענו כאן למשפחה ברוכת ילדים, לשמח אותם. זה 3 משפחות כעיקרון שחיים באותה סביבה, לשמח אותם. גם אבא יקר כאן, והוא רוצה לברך אתכם על כל התרומה שנתתם.
שלום עליכם, ערב טוב לכל עם ישראל, רחמנים בני רחמנים, תעזרו למשפחה, משפחה זקוקה, משפחה ברוכת ילדים, ממש עם שפע, עם ברכה, שיהיה לכם הצלחה בחיים. בסכום זה שאתם נותנים אתם מקבלים, כל מי שנותן מקבל, יותר אתם מקבלים מאשר נותנים. זה מצווה שאתם תקבלו מזה בעזרת השם חסד, ברכה מהשמיים, יהיה לכם שפע בבית, יהיה לכם ילדים, יהיה לכם שמחות בבית, יהיה לכם כל טוב, ברכה והצלחה לכל המשפחה.
קודם כל רציתי להגיד תודה רבה לכל מי שכבר תרם. היא מתמודדת עם המון קשיים לבד, מגדלת ילד עם נכות מאוד קשה, שאבא שלו נפטר מסרטן לפני 6 שנים, מגדלת אותו לבד בלי שום עזרה, ואני באמת זקוקה לכל עזרה, ובאמת תבורכו מהשמיים.
חנוכה שמח לכל התורמים שברוך השם. קיבלתי פה ממש קרטון מלא בשפע, ממש אני כל כך מתרגש. גם ביצים, דגים, עופות, אפילו סופגניות לילדים, ממתקים, ממש מוצרים מאוד מאוד נצרכים ומאוד מאוד עוזרים. אז אני רוצה לומר בשמי לכל התורמים שתבורכו, שהקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא את כל משאלות לבכם לטובה, ובזכות החסד הזה שאתם עושים, ממש מתן בסתר, כי אתם לא יודעים לאן זה הולך, כל זה לשם שמיים, אז הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא את כל משאלות לבכם לטובה.
תודה רבה לכולם. המצרכים והעזרה מאוד מאוד עוזרת לנו להרים את הראש ביום יום ובעול הכבד של החיים השוטפים. אני מאוד מודה לכולם. תבורכו מפה עליון, השם ישמע אתכם.
תודה רבה לכל התורמים היקרים, שתזכו תמיד לתת, שיהיה לכם אור גדול בבית, שאף פעם לא יחסר לכם, שתמיד תוכלו לשמח כמו ששימחתם אותנו ובטח עוד הרבה משפחות. יישר כוח לכם.
שיהיה חנוכה שמח.
אמן.
השם ישמח אותך, ימלא את הבית שלך בשמחה אמיתית, יהיה לך נס חנוכה.
חג שמח לכל התורמים, הצדיקים.
תודה רבה באמת על כל החסד שאתם עושים. אתם יודעים כמה אתם עוזרים למשפחות, במיוחד במצב עכשיו של כל הגזירות של הממשלה, וברוך השם אנחנו בלי עין הרע משפחה ברוכת ילדים, משמחים את כל הנפשות של עם ישראל, שהשם ישפיע עליכם רק טוב כל החיים.
אני מברך את הרבנים, אני מברך את הרבנים, הרב ירון ראובן, הרב אפרים כחלון, ראשי ארגון בעזרת השם, שהלכו בפי עליון, שעלו מעלה, יהיה להם ברכה והצלחה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא משאלות ליבם לטובה ולברכה, שבכל מה שיפנו ישכילו ויצליחו, יזכו עוד לעשות כאלה וכאלה, הודיעו תורה לאדירה, אמן ואמן.
בעזרת השם רשת בכל הארץ. הוא היהודי הזה, הוא היה מיליונר, סגר את כל הביזנס, אמר אני משקיע פה בעולמה של תורה.
איפה הוא גר?
בפלורידה.
פלורידה, איפה זה פלורידה? באמריקה?
מיאמי. כן, ליד. אנחנו שם עכשיו הולכים להקים קהילה ספרדית גדולה.
תעבירו מה שבירכתי אותו.
כן, קהילה ספרדית גדולה.